She sat next to a stranger. He didn't blink. He didn't speak. He didn't move. What started as a quiet, everyday train ride turned into an experience she would never, ever forget. If you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, and you want to support the channel, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. It helps more than you know, and ensures you won't miss our next story. It was 6:42 p.m. on a Tuesday. The train from Berlin to Hamburg was humming along the tracks, a familiar rhythm for the end of a long day. Anna had just wrapped up a draining shift at work. All she wanted was to get home, kick off her shoes, and forget about spreadsheets and deadlines. She was tired, distracted, scrolling mindlessly through her phone. The world outside the window, a blur of darkening countryside. The seat next to her had been empty since she boarded, a small pocket of personal space she was grateful for. Until, suddenly, it wasn't. A man sat down beside her. He did it so quietly, so seamlessly, that she barely registered his arrival. There was no polite nod. No, is this seat taken? No eye contact. He simply occupied the space. His presence was solid, immovable. An unusual stillness emanated from him. Anna, trying to be polite, offered a small, hesitant smile in his direction, but it wasn't returned. He just stared straight ahead, his gaze fixed on the back of the seat in front of him. She went back to her phone, but her focus was broken. Something about him was unsettling. She stole a quick glance. His hands, resting on his knees, were clenched into tight fists, knuckles white. His coat, a heavy, dark wool thing, seemed far too big for his frame, swallowing his shoulders. It was a cold evening, but not that asterisk cold. Then she noticed the most peculiar thing of all. He didn't blink, not once. She watched him for what felt like a full minute, her own eyes starting to burn from the effort of not blinking herself. But his remained wide, unmoving. A cold knot began to form in her stomach. Something felt deeply, profoundly wrong. Anna tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was just lost in thought. Maybe he had a medical condition. She told herself to stop staring, to mind her own business. She put her headphones in, hoping music would drown out the rising sense of unease. But even with the volume turned up, she could feel his stillness beside her. It was a heavy, oppressive presence. Every few minutes, she'd risk a sideways peek. He was always in the exact same position, staring blankly forward. His face was pale, his expression completely vacant. It was as if he wasn't really there, but was a statue placed in the seat. She pulled out her phone and texted her best friend, Sarah. Her fingers fumbled on the screen. "Weird guy next to me on the train. Doesn't blink." The reply came back almost instantly. God, move seats. Now. A simple, logical suggestion. But when Anna scanned the carriage, her heart sank. Every single seat was taken. People were reading, sleeping, chatting. The train was completely full. There was nowhere to go. She was stuck. She texted Sarah back. "Can't. It's packed." Sarah's response was a string of worried emojis. "Just be careful. Keep your bag close." Anna did just that. She hugged her purse to her chest and tried to shrink into her corner by the window, creating as much distance as the cramped space would allow. The minutes crawled by. The train rumbled on. She tried to read an article on her phone, but the words swam before her eyes. Her focus kept snapping back to the man. The unblinking man. Was he breathing? She couldn't tell. The sheer lack of movement was unnerving. It wasn't natural. It felt predatory, even though he wasn't looking at her. The air around them felt thick, charged with a strange, silent tension. Then the train entered a long tunnel. The carriage lights flickered on, casting long, dancing shadows. In the sudden change of light, the man turned his head. It was a slow, deliberate motion, like a clockwork doll winding down. His head rotated until he was facing her, though his eyes still seemed to look through her, not at her. The knot in Anna's stomach tightened into pure ice. He leaned in just slightly, his voice a dry, rasping whisper that was almost lost in the noise of the train. "You shouldn't be here." Anna froze completely. The blood drained from her face. Did she hear that right? The words hung in the air between them, chilling her to the bone. "Excuse me." She managed to choke out, her own voice sounding small and shaky. He didn't respond. He just turned his head back to its original position, facing forward as if nothing had happened. He was perfectly still again, unblinking, unmoving. But the threat in his words echoed in her mind. "You shouldn't be here." That was it. That was the final straw. Panic finally broke through her paralysis. Her heart was hammering against her ribs. With a surge of adrenaline, Anna jumped to her feet, stumbling into the aisle. She didn't look back. She pushed her way through the crowded carriage, murmuring apologies as she bumped into people, her only goal to find the conductor. She found him near the front of the car, checking tickets. "Excuse me," she said, her voice trembling. "There's a man in my carriage. He's acting very strange. He said something to me." The conductor, a kind-faced man in his 50s, looked at her with concern. "Okay, miss, calm down. Show me where." He followed her back down the aisle. As they approached her row, Anna's heart was pounding. What would the conductor do? What would the man say? She steeled herself for the confrontation. But as she pointed to her seat, her words died in her throat. The seat was empty. Her bag was still there, right where she'd left it. But the man was gone. The heavy coat, the clenched fists, the unblinking eyes all vanished. That seat's been empty since we left Berlin, the conductor said, a hint of gentle confusion in his voice. Anna's head whipped around. No, he was right there. A man in a big, dark coat. He just spoke to me. He whispered to me. She sounded hysterical, even to her own ears. The conductor gave her a patient, sympathetic look. The kind of look you give someone who is overtired or overwrought. You must be tired, miss. Long day, he suggested kindly. Maybe you dozed off for a moment. Anna just stood there, speechless. Her mind was reeling. Was she going crazy? Had she imagined the whole thing? The stillness, the unblinking stare, the whispered warning. It had all felt so incredibly real. Defeated, she sank back into her seat, the conductor giving her one last concerned glance before moving on. She felt the eyes of other passengers on her, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and pity. She felt completely and utterly alone. The rest of the journey passed in a haze. Anna stared out the window, questioning her own sanity. Had she dreamt it all? A vivid, waking nightmare brought on by exhaustion. When the train finally pulled into Hamburg station, she grabbed her bag and practically ran onto the platform, desperate for fresh air and solid ground. Later that night, as she was unpacking at home, she reached into her coat pocket to find her keys. Her fingers brushed against a small, folded piece of paper that definitely wasn't hers. Her heart stopped. With trembling hands, she unfolded it. It was a small, torn piece of a train timetable, and on it, in a shaky, spidery script, were 4 words. You listened. You're safe. Some stories aren't about ghosts or monsters that you can see. They're about instincts, about the quiet warnings we receive from places we don't understand. They are about the moments that defy explanation and leave us wondering long after they're over. What do you think Anna encountered on that train? Thank you for joining me for this story. If you found yourself holding your breath, do unforget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next story. Coming this Wednesday, The Queen Who Disappeared. We'll see you then.